most important about it? What are you interested in?
Yes, it's a leap to the C flat.
What?
The leap to the C flat.
The leap, okay, and?
Oh, and the striking of the first.
I mean, because there are other leaps.
Yeah, and the suspense.
So there are three leaps. Ti-da-dum, ba-da-dum, right? You know, and I think, you know, there is a fairly fast going up, right? I would like to hear that. I think that the little notes that get to the you know, the steps up should be more important. You play them very fast, and I would say almost unimportant, right? Now, is this the beginning of a sonata that we expect?
No.
No. I mean, the only other sonata I can think of offhand is Kreutzer, that starts with a violin alone, but very differently from this, you know. So I would say, you know, there is something, you know, it's like, you want to get the attention of the people now. Not just, you know, come little by little, but, you know, you listen. Okay? So can you start it? Yeah, but don't throw your bow. You see, the minute you throw your bow, you lose your sound. Right? So, I mean, you don't want to scare people in that sense, you know. You want yeah, why that? You know, use the open string. Yeah. I also question this, why not from the beginning? I mean, what do you want the sound to do that you non-vibrato in the first half and very much vibrato in the second? What does it do that you are interested in? You see, we make choices. Things shouldn't happen to us. We make them happen. And if you do it that way, then you should say, I want blah, 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 blah.
I thought the non-vibrato part brings more haunting, cold, steely quality.
And the vibrato part makes it what?
To draw the little notes in.
I mean, I can buy the non-vibrato altogether. I don't do it, but I can see doing that. But, you know, half this and half that, I'm not really sure. Yeah, but you see, you still go, you know, there's no accent. So it's sforzato, right? Can you? Not. Right? Go for the longer notes. Yeah, but now you have a melody to play. You see, and you give up. You see, you have to be there. You know, and whether vibrato or non-vibrato, we have to hear you because that's the main line. Would you do me a favor and vibrate once? Yeah, but you see, the beginning of it is you really attack it. I want something like So what is something unusual and interesting about this phrase?
With the
yeah, I mean, what about the structure?
3 bars.
3 bars. Can you play it like that? Because if you do, I don't know, right? I mean, you know, do 3 bars. Okay. So, the 3rd bar of the first 3-bar phrase, was it unusual?
The 3rd bar of the first 3 bars.
The 3rd bar of the first 3-bar phrase.
No,
Play it
listen,
again
listen.
and listen. No, no, okay. Second one.
Yes.
Does she change harmony?
No.
No. So no. What about the third one? No. And she goes. That's the first time when you have a change in the bass. I'd like to hear that. You see, you have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. Look at it, right? Sorry, but I'm standing right here, and I can barely hear him. Are you hearing him well?
Could be more.
Could be better, right? Okay, well, that should be your signal. You know, you never know how exactly things sound in the hall because we can't be here and there at the same time. But if you don't hear him, chances are they also don't. Okay? Now, sometimes you could be too little. I think the sound is a little thin at the beginning. I think I can imagine a more melodic sound. You see, I think you're kind of like this, right? There's a tension rather than... You don't need to try so hard. Yeah, I would not change the bar. It's one unit. And I think it's important because we're going to be dealing now with triplets of that pattern versus quarters of that pattern. It's not it's not exactly the same, right? Okay, so this pizzicato, is it an ideal thing to play? No. But I was sitting right here, which is pretty close, and I had to look up to see if you forgot to play. Because I didn't hear anything. How do you do it?
For the fifth, I believe.
Oh. I think you get more sound this way. Yeah, and practice. You have to practice until your fourth finger is stronger and you can get a little bit more sound. But certainly you can get much more sound, you know, pizzicatoing with the right hand. And when you do, you know, the fact of the matter is that if you want in the hall to have a sound of pizzicato piano, you have to play fortissimo. And then you hope that they will hear piano. You know, look, the violin is not made for a pizzicato. It's, you know, cello is great. Not so good. So I think you need to be concerned about what is it I'm adding? And I think you're adding percussiveness. And if I hear nothing, you're adding nothing. By the way, do you know where you have to pluck so that it sounds best? With words, do you know where that is?
Closer to the bridge.
No, absolutely not. Halfway between the finger and the bridge, exactly. So, you know, it's important, you know, and not sideways, you know, but literally perpendicular to the string. You know, I can say clearly because I'm guilty of the same thing. We violinists don't practice pizzicato. Only when we get to play in a quartet do we have to start, you know, practicing pizzicato. It's the truth. you know, and I know because when I joined the quartet, they said, another soloist, you know. So, so you have to practice. It's not that easy, you know, and you have to know exactly what position you have to hold your fourth finger in so that you can use it as a fret. That's what it needs to be. It needs to be firm. You see, your finger is loose, kind of soft, and it's not going to make a sound. You see, the string is too close to the fingerboard, so it's very hard to do. I know. You know, I'm not great at it either, but you just have to practice it. Okay? Because you used the dynamics for a musical expression. You didn't before. That was much better. Good. You see, I think that dynamics is not markings for decibel levels. It's not this is softer, this is louder, this is softer than what, and louder than what, you know. I mean, than trumpet, forget it, we lose, you know. So there's nothing about it that's really strictly about decibel levels. Of course you have to play forte louder than triple piano, no question about it, but it's about shape and it's about character and especially energy. And now you played with energy and with shape. So when you have a hairpin, the top of the hairpin is the top of the phrase. That's where it goes, right? And he's very meticulous about it. You know, I know that there's a lot of debate about, you know, whether it's accurate because, you know, we don't have, you know, the manuscript, etc. But whatever we have, that's what we do because we don't have anything else, you know. And so I think that debate is finished already. I mean, you don't have it, you don't have it, nothing you can do, right? But use dynamics for that. Now, I don't know how much time we have. Yeah, I would like to go over to the second movement, because I thought that in the second movement, the issue of dynamics and how they affect character was even more important. You see, you actually even played sometimes triple piano, and then the piano afterwards was softer than the triple piano, which for sure is not a good thing. But that's not mostly what I'm interested in. We have different levels of dynamic marking. So you have the dynamic marking, then you have the dynamic marking with dolce. Then you have it once with espressivo, you know. And so clearly it cannot be assumed that it's mostly the same, right? And so again, this is a matter of character, and the movement is very different from the first movement. It's not about interruption, you know. It's about different materials that express beauty in different ways, right? And motion is one of the things that is really important. Motion and color, okay? So can we start from the beginning? Are you thinking about it in 3? Not too much, but I'm hearing it in da-dee-da-dee-da-da. Way too much. You see, I really think that you should look at the lines and make much longer lines. I would like to hear many fewer beats, okay? that before, right? Dee da dee da. Why? Because it's the end of the first statement. It's not connected. It's not dee da dee dee da. Yeah, it's finished. So we have two parts. Dee dee da dee da da dee da da da, and then ta dee da dee da dum pa dee da dee da da dee dee da da. We're done. Ta ya dee da da da. So this is different from the beginning. How? Several ways. What's the dynamic?
Fourth.
Okay. What else?
The harmony is different.
Not so much. Well, yes, but I mean the interval. You see, if you have ta-di and then you have ta-ya, it's a different energy to go up one step or to go up a staircase, right? And I think you need to react to that, right? Can you do it one more time from the beginning? What do you think is the character at the beginning?
It's more of a warmer.
I always ask at the beginning, it's not warmer. Warmer than what?
Warm.
The first movement?
Yes.
It's just the beginning. So, it's warm, right? Okay. And what about the motion? You see, for me, one of the first things that I think about is harmony, and the second thing is motion. How does it move? Does it move with a lot of, effort? Does it move easily? Is it lilting? Is it, what kind of motion?
I think it doesn't move. It moves easily, but then not because with the undercurrent, like the. So
This
it's not.
that is the whole movement. There's only one place where that stops. So this is, it's, is it an agitated one?
No.
No. Right, so it's kind of almost a windy kind of thing, I would say. So I don't know how much that influences it, because you have dee da da dee da da, and this is a different character, but you still have that going. So I don't think that's what gives the character. So you think it's easygoing. Okay, can you do that? Sorry to interrupt. I'd like to just say, I don't think those 30-second notes are emotionally charged. I think it's true. No. I think they're more pastoral, more simple. And I think that it's interfering a little bit with what he can do. Until the middle of the note. I don't think that's how it goes. You see, this is, we need to react to musical content. Dissonant intervals in an environment that doesn't have any is important. How is it important? You have to decide. You have to think about, depends on context. But you have to mark it. And if you first say, dee da dee dee, then I don't know what that means. I really don't. It's like, oh, I forgot, or what? Right? So I think you need to really hear it before you even start. Hear the interval between the left hand of the piano and that note, and really hear the sound it needs to make the clash. Okay? So I'm told we have to stop, but why don't you play this from dee-dee-da-dee-da-dum. How are they different?
I think the E flat has less tension.
Okay.
The octave leap is not as strong as the.
Yes, I agree with you. What color would it have? See, you need to, saying less than something else or more than something else is not telling me what it is. You know, you need to be more specific, you know, and maybe we should finish on that. When you think about how you want to play something, unless you could be very specific in what it is that you want, you cannot find the tools. You can only find your tools if you know exactly what it is you want. So less of this or more of that, you know, that's not very specific. You know, so you're very musical, I think you have opinions, but you're not specific enough. And I would very much recommend that you try to articulate with words. You know, my students always say to me, I know exactly, but I can't tell you. And my answer is always, you're lying. Because if you know exactly, you would tell me you don't know exactly. Knowing more or less is not good enough. You see? So insist on knowing exactly. Okay?
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you.
address the beginning. And I will address it because everybody gets nervous. You're not the only one. And what we need to learn is, what do you do when, not if, because it's going to be when you get nervous. You know, I always say that there isn't such virtue in not getting nervous. What does it mean? You don't care? So is that a great thing? You know, I mean, we get nervous because we care. So we have to accept that fact, and we have to learn to anticipate it and to know what to do, right? And clearly, you know, if you're going to focus your attention on vibrating more, not going to help. It just isn't going to help, okay? So I think that what you need to do, normally I say, change your bow, right? But I mean, I think that one of the things about this beginning is that, you know, you don't change the bow, but you are playing melody. And if I can't hear it, then you're not playing anything, right? And so what I would do, number one, is give up. It has to be as soft as possible. Play, okay? And if you play with a little bit more weight, it's going to be much easier because you're holding your arm up, you know, and so of course it's going to shake also for physical reasons, but mostly because you're nervous, okay? And the thing is, there's nothing to be ashamed about it. You're nervous. Everybody else is nervous too. You know, I mean, I've played this piece many times. It's hard. It's not a very pleasant kind of beginning to a piece. And so you need to learn to really feel the weight of the arm. You know, and you put the weight on the bow and you move with your weight rather than withholding and hoping that the weight of the bow is going to make the sound, because it can't. Okay? And so don't transfer your attention to your vibrato, you know, because that's not going to help. But rather really think that you need to deal with the weight, and yes, use the weight. And if it's going to be not pianissimo but piano, it'll be okay. You know, I would say you need to choose what would be better, that you're not heard or that you heard a little too loud. What do you think? Right? You know, but that's the option, you know. And I don't think it's the end of the world. Honestly, of things that I think are the end of the world in violin playing, this is not one of them. You know? So can we start from the beginning and really think of what it is that you want to say with this note, right? I could do it either. Could you put your arm up a little bit more and feel it, that it's really pushing the bow? And by the way, also listen to the piano. You know, this is a big machine, and it's very difficult to keep repeating notes in total pianissimo. 99.9% of the time, it's not going to end in pianissimo. So also take that acoustic into consideration. What sound do you need to make? How soft does it have to be? Not that soft, right? So don't put your arm down, because you see, this way you can't control it. So put your arm a little up and really push, not from your fingers, but rather from the arm. Okay? Let's start right where she comes in now. Up, 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 a little bit. Feel that from here, okay, you're bringing your weight, but you're stiff, right? You want, imagine that you want to put your hand down on something and press hard. So you will be using all of this almost from here, right? All of your muscles are going to participate. let me put my hand on you, okay? This way. You feel that? There's something very solid about it, right? And I'm soft. You see, all of your joints need to be completely soft. You're holding like this. Now, if I will hold it like this for 30 seconds, I'll suddenly start shaking, right? So let go. So feel that all of your muscles are just conduits of the power that's coming from here, and you're pushing it, pushing the bow with it. Feel that, and it's coming from here, and you're bringing it to the bow, so that there is weight and soft joints. Okay, now move a little faster, just a little bit faster at the beginning. Push from here. See,
I feel so stiff.
You don't know why?
Well,
because you're afraid. When we're afraid, we're stiff, right? So imagine that you're going to be pushing the piano, okay? And what you're doing is the same kind of thing, and not now in front of the whole audience, but when you're by yourself, try to see where does it come from when you're pushing the piano. It doesn't come from here. You're doing this, you see? And when you try to push the piano, you're not going to be doing that. See, you can't push the piano with your fingers. You can push the bow with your fingers, but it's not a good thing. Right? You see, so what I'm wanting you to do is really try, think of this, right? And start by doing it too fast so that you get the sense of it. So do just like that. And get the sound going. And then little by little slow it down. And do it a few times in a slower tempo, and then do it again slower and again slower until you feel where the motion comes from. Because you see, you're wanting to push it from here. And the smaller the place from where it comes, the harder it is. Okay? So I'm not going to torture you now, but this is what you need to think about, right? So I really recommend, it's not stupid, that you come and you feel, and you will feel that all of your muscles from the back are participating, and that's what you need to do, okay? But as you play this, play a melody, right? And don't be afraid that you're going to be too loud. It's okay. Start mezzo forte. Seriously, okay? So that you can figure out the motion, and then you make it slower and you make it softer. And it has to be, the other thing about it, no matter how soft it is, you see, I'm talking to the hall. Now, I have to make sure that the people who are sitting up there are going to hear me. So the way I articulate my words is different from if I'm talking to you. I wouldn't talk to you like that, right? You are talking to them. And you have to make sure that your sound is going out into the hall. What does that require? You have to be pushing the string, because if the string is not going back and forth, then the whole reverberation of the sound is not happening, and the sound's not going to travel then. You see, you need to create these circles, and the circles need to get bigger and bigger so that it fills the whole space. You're not even thinking about that. You're just thinking about how you hope that it's going to be over soon. Right? Well, that's not a good solution, right? It really isn't. And so you need to figure out a way. And I'm saying, play it louder. Just play it louder to begin with. You see? Because now you got yourself kind of caught in this trap. In order to get out of it, I think first you just play with energy of motion, with energy of weight, and then you can modify, okay? Because I think that once you started making sound, it was very good actually. You see, and so you have two statements, one on the upper C and then the second one on the lower C. Now the lower C not only is lower, it should have a different voice, okay? And I'd like to hear that as well, okay? So these are the things that you need to think about, but I think perhaps better that we leave this alone now, okay? Because you're feeling too anxious and we don't have time. So let's go to the Allegro. What is a character?
I find it quite playful, but in a, how to say, like clever kind of, I mean, the character kind of varies.
Well, of course, but I'm talking about the beginning.
The beginning.
Yeah.
I find it like a sort of, I don't know how to put it to words, like there's an underlying threat to it, but it's kind of brought down and it's
Threat?
in a way playful.
Okay. I hear more the playful and less the threat, but I must say, now the other question that I have, is it going in bars? Is it T, ta, 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 ta?
I think it's going more with the harmony change.
Okay, so how many bars?
Where it changes to.
Yeah, so I mean the first 3 bars, right? It's a 4-bar phrase, right? And I think that you should think in 4 bars. So can you start one more time? I personally don't do this bowing. I don't really care to change anybody's bowing particularly, but I think that it's easier to do it this way, because the similarity of the first beat, makes it harder to make it a 4-bar phrase. Okay. It's again the same. You see, try to move. You're holding. You see, everything about the bow is you want to control. There's not much to control, just let it go. Okay, and again, you see, you're compensating with an enormous amount of vibrato. You don't need all of that. This is where you're going, right? And there's nothing very special about 3 bars of A minor, right? Just let it go. Okay, so what's the harmony here?
It's going to.
What is it?
Dominant?
Not the dominant, exactly, and it's a 7th chord. 7th chord is more intense than triad. So you see this, and should not be the same sound. You can use your vibrato, but what you do is basically shake, right? What I would suggest that you do is place your finger, feel that you're anchoring it on the fingerboard, and start moving from the fingertip. You see, it's not tighten and shake, but rather just move from the fingertip. Yeah, what you see, the function of the B is to lead to the end. So give it more direction. If you do, you're actually robbing the melody of the interest in it. Yeah, and Marvin, you see, if I hear ta 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 ta, to me, it doesn't have any direction, right? And we want this, right? So try to see how they connect to one another rather than, because you were thinking about the beginning, right? Make a sound, talk to them. Yeah. Watch your vibrato. Really try to express something with it. So the vibrato cannot be the same all the time, right? You see, that interval should be more interesting to you. So, I didn't hear any connection between those two notes. Can you do from deep ba ba ba? Cannot disappear. You see, if you say da da dee, that's like not saying the last word of a sentence. Can you imagine how annoying that would be if somebody talked to you like that? You'd never know what they're talking about. You have to care about what they hear. I am not talking about the subject of whether you're successful or not. I'm talking about the subject of communicating what you think and feel about the piece. And in order for that to be clear to a listener, you have to be very clear about what it is you want to say. And so when you have la 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 la, you see, if he really wanted it to be up, probably he'd have the notes going down even, not up. But anyway, there isn't a note that is written by a good composer, maybe bad composer, I don't know, but a good composer that you don't have to hear. There isn't one, okay? And we have to be very cognizant of it. You see, it's not enough that you heard it. Did they hear it? And I didn't hear it, so they didn't. Okay? And so the whole question of communication is really at the center of what we do. Because what is our job? We want to understand what is in the piece. We want to understand how we feel about it, and we want to combine this information into a story and sound. That's what music is. We're telling a story in sound, right? And we are putting our emotional reaction to the story in sound into the performance, right? And we have to play it in a way that our listeners at least understand what it is that we are saying. They may like it or not like it, that's their business. But, you have to be clear enough so that they know what you're talking about, okay? And so this a big job. And so you need to be sure, and I think that at this point you're more worried about the notes than about the message, right? So you have ya, ba, 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 one harmony, and la, 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 a second harmony. Da, ba, da, be, da, ba. You see, in the beginning you had 3 bars of the same harmony. Here you don't. So it's also a different way to play this phrase, right? So can you play the phrase from beginning to end, okay? And try to think about this. Remember, your vibrato is a coloring device, so it doesn't start, it's the end of what you do. Focus on what you do with your bow, okay? All right, can we start with the allegro?
Too much.
Yes.
Accompanying kind of the piano.
Yeah, but you're playing exactly with the same sound. So, and what is the essence of this accompaniment?
It's the character, kind of.
It's the E. B, da, dee, da, dee, da. See, she could have played all of it by herself. Nothing would have been missing from the music. But you are sitting on an E. So you have a pedal point. It's very unusual to have a pedal point in the middle of the melody. Normally it would be under, but the violin can't do that. So, I think that you have to insist on this. Right? and a different sound for the accompaniment role. Not that I don't want to hear you, I absolutely want to hear you, but differently. Okay, so can we do from where the piano takes over? Now, why are you vibrating so much? You see, what I want really is to have this. I don't want you stopping all the time. There's no rests there, right? Make a sound. So you do the bum, 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 like it's all the same, you see. It's not. Musically, this is a new material, right? You are taking over the melody. So on two levels, it's not the same thing. And you didn't even breathe, right? So, yeah, dee da lee da la 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 la. And it's a different gesture also. And in order for that gesture to happen, it takes time for the arm to do that. I would really suggest to you that one of the most important things that you could do is start paying much more attention to your bow arm. I know that most violinists today are totally fixated on intonation. You know, if intonation is fine, everything is fine, and you know, we're done. Unfortunately, that's absolutely not true. You know, the most important tool that we have to express music is our bow arm, not our left hand. You know, and the vibrato is a coloring tool, and we need colors, obviously, but we need to really first establish what are we coloring, right? And so I think that your focus needs to be first and foremost on what you do with the bow. And the idea, the basic idea of sound production is that you grab the string and you pull it on a down bow and you push it on an up bow, and you continually pull and push, you see, because the string needs to keep moving. In order to do that efficiently, you need to use your arm. So this is where the starting point is, and then you have to stop and think about what the music is, and you know how specifically to do it in this place. But really, the idea I think has to be that you start thinking much more about what you do with your right arm. I'm told that we're finished with time, so thank you. confess I don't play this piece, and I don't know it very well, and more importantly, I must have misread my email, and I thought you were going to play the first sonata. So I haven't looked at this, you know, I just had this airdrop to me. So I'm a little at a disadvantage, but anyway, I like your enthusiasm. I love your enthusiasm. I think it's great, and I think that it's necessary for this piece, and I think that clearly you love it. What I would like to do is make it a little bit more clear in what's happening and talk about how to use time. You know, this is clearly romantic music, you know, highly romantic music, and some of it is very dense. The more dense it is, the more time you need. You know, this is almost a rule, I would say, you know, and so I think that it is okay to take the time. You know, you feel, it feels to me sometimes as though I wish I had time, but I don't have time, and so I'm going to condense everything into very small spaces, and then we don't know what you're talking about, you see? And so I think that this is exactly the point. You have to figure out when it is absolutely okay to take more time for yourself, so you have the opportunity to express what you want to express. I don't see very well without my glasses, and so at the beginning I barely could see what the score was doing. I didn't understand the rhythm for several bars. That's not a good thing. You know, I should be able to tell three.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's not that complicated. So I think these are kind of things that I would like to talk about, you know. Let's start from the beginning, you know. And I think, you know, your passion for the piece is wonderful, you know, and I don't want to take anything away from that. But I think that there are different kinds of expressions within the movement, and I could imagine sometimes more lyrical, sometimes more vertical, sometimes more energetic, etc., etc. So can we start from the beginning? Which of the chords in the first two bars is more intense, the first or the second?
Second.
But you play them exactly the same, so how are we supposed to know that? Right? So can you plan for that?
Okay. So
it's not ti-da, it's tim-ta, tim-pa, right? So, you know, there are a lot of things one says, you know, music is a language, you know, we play like singers, blah, 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 you know, but nobody ever stops to think about what does that actually mean. You know, I dare you to find me a recording of a singer, any, that will sing da, 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 da. That's exactly what you're doing. Okay? So what is it that you're not doing?
Breathing.
No, I mean, the bow is not breathing.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you're breathing, I don't know. You're breathing enough not to die, but you know, I think you, here it's not about you breathing. I think it's about, I don't know what the notes are. Yeah. You see, if you do, you don't tell me much, but so, right? So, and have direction to it, not right? So again, the third bar has a legato. I understand, half note, quarter, before we had quarter, half, but not legato at the beginning. That
I was trying to match the piano's legato. So I used to do it, and we were quite separate. But then I realized that there's a slur in the piano.
I think you should do it in legato. I definitely think so. But how would you do it as a singer? Again, you see, if you sustain ta-da, you can't make it in legato.
Yeah.
There is inflection inside notes. The longer the note, the more inflection it has to have.
Yeah.
And you can play with the bow totally sustained from beginning to end. The question is, why would you want to do that? You see? And I think very rarely do you want to do that, actually. And I'd like you to really figure out what this inflection is going to be like, so that you express what you want to express. I don't want to change anything that you want. I just want to enable you to do what you want. But it's leading to the F.
Yeah.
And you lead to the F, and you then invite him to play the second beat. So right? So it's not stop. Because if you do that, you say goodbye. Then, you want to play, go ahead, but I don't care. You can't do that. Can you do from the third part? Individual bars, or are they connected?
Connected.
Ba-bum, ta-bum. You see, you have to know in the first bar where you're going to, because the trajectory of it is determined by how you play the first part, right? And you did not think that there was anything coming. We have to understand what's in the music. We have to have a plan to execute. We don't want the plan to be the essence, but we need to have a plan, you see? And if you don't have a plan, then it's just one chord and another one and another one, and so that's not good enough, right? So can you start from, what was it?
3?
Okay, do 3. I know that playing the violin is not a visual thing, but you see, if you play, do you think somebody is actually waiting for the next thing?
No.
Right? So, right? So in between, you have to keep the intensity, and the body has to be participating in it. You see, it translates into telling, wait. You see, because if you do this, you say, I'm done.
Yeah.
Right?
The opening.
Okay, exactly.
But
what's the difference? Key. That's
yeah,
all.
I was going for more painful, more
Well, I
surprise.
don't know. I mean, that decision comes after you know what it is. You
Mm.
see, so we're in what key?
A minor.
Do we know that when you play it?
No.
You don't know that. You see, we think that we're in E major, don't we?
Yeah.
For a while at least, right? So what is the color compared to the beginning? Because the A minor is at the beginning, that's A minor,
Yeah.
right? You know, so what would be the, because keys do have a color.
Mm.
And I don't think it feels like 5, it feels like a key, right?
Yeah.
So you're in E major, how does the key of E major compare in color to the A minor? That's what you have to decide.
Mm.
You know, and this whole question of keys is a central question. You know, I mean, composers were really, really interested in it. You know, Beethoven, for example, said that he never decided the character of a piece before choosing the key. You know, there are numerous articles about the character and colors of keys. You might be interested in looking it up. Google is great for that. You know, and no, seriously, because it's very interesting and we don't think about it much.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that if you do, you open up a whole new world of colors to expression.
Yeah.
Right? So can you start this and let's hear that it's not the same as the beginning. And you see you have tom, pa-pam, pa-pam, you know, and you have a B in the bass, so B is the dominant, so going to E sounds like the tonic for now. We'll see where we're going, right?
Right on the E major?
Sure. Okay, I have a question. The vibrato. Why you start the note without vibrato and then write it later?
Oh, it's a bad habit.
Okay, then just stop. No discussion necessary. You see, you should see this in between. It's not da da but
Yeah.
da dum ba. So it's a jumping board that takes you there this way, not in a straight line. And I'd like to hear that. Da da. Yeah. Does it have to be so harsh?
No.
Why do you do it like that? First of all, there's an accent on the first note and not on the second one.
Yeah.
Right? So ya bum dee. Here's your E major. So we are in E major, in fact. You see, I didn't know that because I don't know the piece well enough at all. But you need to know that. You see, so you did announce, now it's E major and we have the cadence. So this is your section and you should consolidate it. You know, this is, you know, when we start playing a piece, what we need, how we should go about it is see the big picture first. You know, so in a sonata form, you know, identify exposition, development, recapitulation. Then you start with, you know, themes, you know, and transitions, etc., etc. And only then do you go into the smaller and smaller details. This is a big detail, and you need to know that. You see, because it does make a difference.
Yeah.
Right? And so we were in E. Let's go on. So what is this? This is important. What is this?
This for me is the opening, but without the
But
ability to
in
express.
piano,
Yeah.
without the chords, with a different kind of piano part. So it's a reinterpretation. What is the character?
Very inner.
But
Very-
very lyrical, right?
Yeah.
I'm not hearing that enough. So it's about the sound. You see, that's what we have, sound. We don't have anything else, right? And so sound needs to describe character, sound needs to describe harmony, needs to describe tension, blah, 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 everything. And so I'd like to hear, you're playing softer, but softer is not a character. You see, I would like to hear this as a lyrical reinterpretation of the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. Okay. Could you can you make sure that the sound continues, because you start it, but then it dies, right? So think about and how does it go from note to note? You see, that's another thing that we say, and music is in between the notes. There's all of these things that are absolutely true, but we don't stop to think about what it means. Ti is one harmony, but ti is not. And so the level of tension between the first two notes and the next two notes is not the same. So just by changing the direction of the bow, it doesn't do it. So in between this C sharp, G sharp, there has to be something different that happens. And it starts by your body reacting to the music. So if it's intense, you have to feel the intensity in the arm. If it's smooth, you have to feel the smoothness in the motion of the arm. And these are things that are really central. Okay? Can you try? Played the E, and I was 100% sure from how you started it that it's going to be a half note. You didn't play the half note, but it sounded wrong. You see, because the note cannot be da, because I don't know what's going to happen, you see. I think it's the same as before. It's ti, da. You see, this is so important. Inner inflection of the notes will tell me rhythm, character, motion. If it's completely flat, I don't know what's happening. And you were metronomically probably very accurate, but to my ear it was wrong. But it was much better than the part before. Because I'm hearing da da da. What you're telling me is that they're all the same.
Yeah.
But I don't think that you think that. Well, then why you tell me something you don't even believe? I mean, just think about it. It doesn't make any sense. You see, you're stuck on the dot. So what does a dot of a note mean?
Shorter. An articulation.
So, articulation? What articulation?
Well,
It
the
means
beginning
that,
of the note.
I don't think so. An accent refers to the beginning. I don't think a dot does. It separates it from the next note. So it's not da da da. If you wanted that, you'd do a little
Yeah.
And Schumann does. I mean, look at the D minor sonata. I mean, almost every half note has one, you know. So, I mean, it's not to be shy about them, right? So, I think, you know, change of harmony. So that is something new as well. You see, you need to really react to what you feel, because I get the impression that what you feel is just fine. You know, and you're not actually doing that because you allow this stick from a tree, you know, to influence what you do. But you laugh, but that's what it is. It is a stick from a tree. The violin is a little box, you know, and this is a stick. And we allow ourselves to be terrified of these two inanimate objects that we should control, not they should control us. You know, now, let me tell you, I do understand that playing the violin is not the easiest thing in the world. It's not that I don't know. I do know. But I think that attitude has something to do with it, you know? And you have to tell yourself, I have strong feelings about this piece. I'm going to make this box and the stick do what I want. And you don't give up until you get it. I'm told we're done. Is that right? Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Would have loved to go on. disclosure, Rachel is my student, so it's going to be a little, difficult to talk about very general things because she's heard it a few times. Beautiful, very good. I think much of what I want to talk about is actually questions of acoustics. The movement is very difficult to make, heard. So when you have da la dum, every single time, when you practice at home, it will sound absurd, but you do need to play, or else it's just not going to be heard. And I actually would accent the first 16th note, because otherwise we just don't hear it. And also, you also have a habit of rushing them a little bit, which is not helpful, but you really have to understand that I adore Schumann, but he doesn't pay that much attention to what is practical on violin, and he has us playing a lot in the middle strings, which are at such a disadvantage compared to the piano, and so you have to be very, very careful, even about fingerings, and just go to the E string as often as you can, because the E string does cut through better, and I think that it's just necessary, because otherwise too much is lost.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, the very opening, if you played the melodic line without chords, how would you play it? Just play it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So can you play it like that? Yeah. Yeah, but you don't. You see, you do. And the thing is that this is not what you expect, so and so very happy. Make sure that there is resonance to these chords. Don't be so short. Stand like this, and you'll get much more sound, because this is not going to give you what you want.
Okay.
So just play the A. It was so much better. Much longer.
Okay.
You see, let the chord go away. You see, you are now going to play a little cadenza on the dominant. Right? And so you let it out. Right? I mean, just more imaginative and more, really cadenza-like. Really, and make sure you fill the hole with sound. So not a thin sound.
Yeah.
And it's from the bone. Remember?
Should I just go from the beginning?
Sure. change the bow. And then the A is important. Yeah, and when you get to a no, have a sound that is participating in the theme, right? Because that's what you did. You had a little cadenza on the dominant leading to the second iteration of the theme, right? Make a sound. You see, you're never, and I mean never, gonna cover the piano. So you don't need to worry that you're too loud. Just play. This is the minimum, I would say. I think that you almost feel that you're ruminating about the theme as it's going on. So, and really let me know that this is the top and you're coming down from there.
Okay.
You know, you're uncomfortable. Just change your bow.
Okay.
Yeah. Now this chord, I want you to scare me with. Yeah. It should sound like that. So both timing-wise and color-wise, it cannot be bad. You see, it's and then when you come in, it's okay.
Yeah.
So go from T da da T da No. You see, you're just playing ba. You know, consider the A major chord to be the ending of something, and the it's an elongation of the theme, right? With a literally terrifying harmony. Here, if you can, I would vibrate almost too fast. So, you know, you want kind of sound. Yeah, but your B flat disappeared. You see, you're going all the way, so you can't do that. Do from the diminished chord. I hear you, but I don't know what you're saying.
Okay.
You know. So what are you saying? Where we do? You're telling me, come with me. We're going somewhere. You see. So if you do I'll come, but not really enthusiastically.
Okay.
So try to play a sound that's a little more specific. You see, it's a little. And then it becomes a tonic, actually.
Right.
Right? So give it a little more tension at the beginning and release it. Yeah, and and we are waiting to see what's going to happen. Right? And in fact, it turns out that there was a dominant of the dominant, and this is the real dominant because we're going back to D, right? D, do. Ta, dee, da, dee, da. Very dramatic. So wait here. Right? So it's more intense, right? You need to hear it. I mean, you can do it. And then, you know, we need to hear those notes. If you don't, you know, we're not going to hear.
Mm-hmm. Fingering very much. I think you're rushing to it. You know, it does not read da 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 di da da di da la da di, right? And make sure that it is not, you know, so fast that it just passes as a blur. We need to hear that. Mm-hmm.
Take your time. And also, it's not a legato.
Yeah.
It's not important that it should be a legato. Right there is okay. It's not. We don't have a new harmony on every single note. It's too many beats.
Okay. 40?
Yeah, I know that it's a tradition that everybody plays. Why is it faster?
Okay.
You know, on purpose play it slower. You know, because we do want to hear those notes. And if you think you're playing it fast, slower, probably you're playing not as fast.
Okay. Okay.
I don't hear the D.
Okay.
I looked, I saw
inclination that we always have when we play second notes is the kiss of death. You just don't hear anything, you know? And I think it's really a pity. You know, dee-dum, pa-dee-dum, you know, and it's a beautiful note, but anyway, we have to hear them. So these are the things. Don't rush the all of them, you know. This isn't, everybody plays it like that, I know, you know. It's probably a natural inclination of the bow to do that, but it's really not a good thing. Actually, pianists do that too. You know, also not necessary. Yeah. So, you know, be careful about that. Be careful that you really make sure that we hear all of these things. And then coming up, this when you play this, can you make sure you listen to the second note before you come in? Because if you play after the first one, that's too early.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then just play. I mean, it's never together. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's just impossible. I don't know what he was thinking when he wrote that, but at least come in the right time.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
All right. Good.
Great.
Very
Thank you.
good.
Thank you so much.